Hi, my name is Abby Fusca, and my partner is Cailey Estridge, and this is our Management Leadership Interview Project. For this project, we decided to interview Chris Estridge, who is a part owner manager of Taylor, Richards & Congour, which is an upscale clothing store for men and women in Charlotte. He opened the company about 19 years ago and has been working there ever since. So our questions mainly focused on his style of management and how he runs his company and how he deals with his employees and just about his management style in general. And so some of the disadvantages or weaknesses he may have is that he's too trusting of his employees. And so he's been working with most of his employees for a very long time, and most of them ever since the store actually opened. And because of all that trust, there is a lot of good relationships between them. However, when they do occasionally happen to mess up something, it falls back on him and he has to take the responsibility for it. Another issue he has is that he's not on the sales floor as often as he would like. And so a lot of the customers know him by his name. However, they don't know his face. And so he wants to be on the sales floor more often just so he can interact with the customers more on a daily basis. However, he does have a lot of advantages and strengths for his managing style. He's not too overbearing, and he has good relationships with his employees since they have been working together with him for so long. And he conducts weekly meetings, which help with any issues that he might have with the work staff, any improvements they could make, and it really just strengthens the community in general. And he's also very consistent with the way he treats his employees, and that is definitely a good quality of management, because if you aren't consistent as a manager, then you can be labeled as having favorites, and that's not good to build a good, strong community in staff. So some of his responsibilities include supervision of the employees, shipping and receiving the inventory that comes in every 2 to 3 days. He has to watch his employees and manage them to make sure they are also doing their job and that everything in the store is going well and smoothly. And he also needs to make sure that they all reach their sales goals, and he needs to make up those sales goals as well. And he's also in charge of those weekly meetings I mentioned earlier. So there is no chain of command in his company. He is the man in charge, which is a lot of responsibility because he deals with everything basically that goes on in the company. When asked about his management style, he said that he can be authoritative when he needs to. However, he can also be relaxed depending on the situation. So he sees himself as very democratic, which I believe is very good in some cases, just because you don't want an employer who is always just one or the other. You need somebody who is more flexible depending on the situation at hand and who can think quick on their feet. So when asked about his employer requirements to work at the company, he says they must have good teamwork because his community is very tight-knit and they all have been working together for so long. And they need to have experience working in the clothing industry or in sales in general. They need to have a good work ethic because there's a lot of hard work working on the sales floor. You have to be friendly, you have to be upbeat, you have to be able to make those sales happen quickly. And he also wants humility, because if you're overconfident, it's difficult for you to be taught as an employee. And that's very important because everything can be improved eventually. And so when we asked him about his goals or objectives for the store, he mainly focused on the sales quota because every month they have a sales quota that needs to be met, and it's his responsibility to make sure those are being kept up with. He wants to have more merchandise in the store to attract more customers and new vendors so they can work together and continue to build up the company. And I also asked him about employee productivity, and so he said that having an incentive or motivation has really helped in the past, and he continues to do that. For example, his employees, if they do meet their weekly sales quota, they get one free thing from the store every now and then, and that has really helped build up the community and that relationship between employer and employee. And it also really helps to have customer-employee relationships because they do have regular customers who come in, and if they have a certain employee they want to go talk to, they will know that that employee is there and he or she is willing to help them find whatever they're looking for. And that just builds that sense of good community. And also the weekly meetings really help because if needed, he can address issues that need to be fixed or issues that have been good. And that really helps build that strong community between employee and employer. Also, lastly, for his disciplinary action, he says that most of the time he does have to deal with the interns because most of the other workers have been working there for so long, they don't really have any issues because they have those good relationships. And so for his disciplinary action, he talks about how he wants to have that open communication with the interns and that he gives them one chance to prove themselves. And so right off the bat, they are given an assistant position, which includes getting everybody else lunch, or working on the sales floor, or just helping around with errands, anything that Mr. Estridge really needs, to be honest. But however, if he feels like they're lacking in their job and their communication with him, he will talk to them, and if it improves, then he'll keep them on. However, if it doesn't improve, he will let them go. And so overall, I feel like he does have a decently good management style, and I appreciate you all listening to my presentation, and thank you for this.